Now moving on to the news in detail, where a joint sitting of the Parliament expresses concern over the deteriorated law and order situation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and inaction of the provincial government. More details in the following report.
The joint session of the Parliament held in Islamabad with Speaker National Assembly in the chair. At the outset of the session, the members prayed for the victims of terrorism in the country. Giving a policy statement about the law and order situation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Defence Minister Khaja Asif said the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government has been kept hostage by PTI Chief Imran Khan. He stated that the Banu jail attack reflects utter failure of the provincial government.
कि दहशतगर्दी जो है वो दोबारा जो है सर उठा रही है, खुसूसन हमारे केपी के सूबे में ये फेलियर है वहाँ पे सूबाई हुकूमत का जो पिछले 3 दिन से वहाँ पे सिलसिला चल रहा था और अल्टीमेटली हमारी अफवाज ने वहाँ पे जरमाल भी जो है रिहा करवाए, दहशतगर्द भी जो है वो मारे गए और कुर्बानियाँ भी हमारे वहाँ पे अफवाज ने दी हैं इस क्राइसिस को ख़त्म करने के लिए.
Earlier speaking in the House, Senator Mushtaq expressed concern over the rising number of terrorist attacks in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. He said the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government has failed to stop the attacks and government writ is being challenged by the terrorists. Lawmakers including Mohsin Dawud, Senator Mushtaq and MNA Abdul Akbar Chitrali also staged a protest in front of Speaker's dais on law and order situation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. They were also carrying placards and chanting slogans. The joint session also adopted 10 bills with majority vote after rejecting amendments in some bills. Some amended bills were returned by President Arif Alvi seeking amendments for consideration and detailed deliberations by the Parliament and its committees. The bills include the Global Change Impact Studies Centre Amendment Bill 2022, the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority Amendment Bill 2022, the Pakistan Nursing Council Amendment Bill 2022, and the State-Owned Enterprises Governance and Operations Bill 2022. The joint sitting also gave nod to Pakistan Global Institute Bill 2022, the Regulation of Generation Transmission and Distribution of Electric Power Amendment Bill 2022, the Islamabad Capital Territory Prohibition of Interest on Private Loans Bill 2022, and the Islamabad Compulsory Vaccination Protection of Health Workers Bill 2022. The Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences PIMS Bill 2022 and the Pakistan Medical and Dental Council Bill 2022 were also adopted by the both houses. Speaking on floor of the House Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Murtaza Javed Abbasi called for action against former Finance Minister, Speaker and Deputy Speaker for violating the Constitution. Fahad Ahmed Missan, PTV World, Islamabad.
Now, the Defence Minister Khaja Asif says that mopping up the operation is underway in Banu jail and surrounding areas as 2 army personnel embrace martyrdom in the operation. More in the report by our correspondent Musharraf Zahoor.
National Assembly met in Islamabad with Speaker Raja Parvez Ashraf in the chair. At the outset of the session, Defence Minister Khaja Asif clarified that a mopping up operation is underway in Banu jail and surrounding areas and 2 army personnel laid down their lives during the operation.
इस वक्त mopping up operation जारी है. अपने आखिरी मरहले में इस वक्त सारा मसला है और कि हमारे कुछ जख्मी जो हैं वो सीरियसली इंजर्ड हैं जो हमारे फौजी हैं और 2 शहादतें हुए हैं वो मैंने पहले भी आपको बताया है.
The House also adopted the Foreign Investment Promotion and Protection Bill 2022. The bill was tabled by Senator Shahadat Awan. The bill has already been passed by the Senate. The amendment in the bill seeks to restrict the legislation to the Recodec project. The House also adopted the Control of Narcotics Substances Amendment Bill 2022. Various bills were also introduced before the lower house. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also attended the session. He met with the lawmakers and exchanged views with them. Later, the speaker prorogued the session. Reporting for PTV World, Musharraf Zahoor.
The Inter-Services Public Relations has said the army operation is successfully underway at the Counter-Terrorism Department office in Bannu. The ISPR informed that the operation is going to be completed soon, whereas further details were to follow.
The federal government has announced various steps under its National Energy Conservation Plan. Now briefing the media persons after the federal cabinet meeting held in Islamabad with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in the chair, the Defence Minister Khaja Asif said that the cabinet accorded approval to the National Energy Conservation Plan and also approved the policy of austerity measures. The Defence Minister said that the federal government will also hold consultation with the provinces to take their input as well as the austerity measures input as well. He also said that the energy conservation and austerity is a national cause, and we want to launch it with consensus. Elaborating the plan, the minister said that the cabinet accorded approval to close down all the restaurants, hotels, and markets by 8 p.m. Similarly, marriage halls will be closed down till 10 p.m. Moreover, electricity fans, bulbs, and geysers will also be made conservation friendly, while street lights will be on alternatively. Now, moreover, use of electric bikes will be encouraged, and the government is negotiating with a company for their manufacturing as well. Khwaja Asif said that all these austerity measures will help save billions of rupees of the government. He said Ministry of Information and Broadcasting will also run a special campaign to create awareness among the masses regarding the utility of these measures. Moreover, the minister said that all these measures will be finalized within a couple of days after having consultations with the provinces. He said that the cabinet discussed in detail about the impact of this policy of implementing the austerity measures, which will become a part of our national culture and also help the nation to get rid of the prevailing financial problems. Now, speaking on this occasion, advisor to the Prime Minister on Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, Qamar Zaman Kaira, said that during the cabinet meeting, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif appreciated the efforts of Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari for presenting the case of Pakistan's nation, and also Kashmiris before the world during his press conference in the United Nations recently, while following the footprints of founding chairperson of the PPP and our ancestors. He also said Pakistanis themselves are the worst victims of terrorism. He said we will not let to shelve the case of Pakistan and humanity. Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Maryam Aurangzeb, was also present on the occasion.
Now, the Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Maryam Aurangzeb, has said no press release of today's Federal Cabinet meeting is issued. In a statement, the Information Minister said the news circulating in the media regarding the Cabinet's press release is not correct. She said the Federal Ministers had held a press conference about the Federal Cabinet meeting earlier in the day and shared details with the media in this regard.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has directed the authorities concerned to formulate a plan at the earliest for solarization of the government buildings in Islamabad. Now, the Prime Minister, who chaired the meeting of the Cabinet Committee of Energy, was given a briefing on the gas development schemes across the country. Now, the Cabinet Committee approved the completion of construction work of the gas development scheme started during 2013 and 18. Federal Ministers for Finance, Planning, Energy and Parliamentary Affairs, Advisor Ahad Chima, State Ministers for Petroleum and Finance and senior government officers attended the meeting as well.
Now, PPP co-chairman and former President Asif Ali Zardari held a meeting with leader of PMLQ, Chaudhry Shujat Hussain, in Lahore. During the meeting, they discussed no confidence motion and the vote of confidence in the Punjab Assembly. Nasir Hussain Shah and Malik Ahmed Khan briefed the meeting on important issues. Federal Minister Chaudhry Salik Hussain and Tariq Bashir Chima were also present in the meeting.
The Lahore High Court has allowed 18 PMLN members of the Punjab Assembly to participate in the Assembly sessions. Now, the 18 members were suspended by Speaker Punjab Assembly Sabtain Khan after accusing them of rioting on the Assembly floor. Now, a two-member bench headed by Justice Shahid Bilal Hassan heard the petition, which had been submitted by PMLN members a week ago. Also, according to the judgment, the 18 members can now participate in the Assembly sessions and cast their votes if necessary. The legislators who were suspended, including Zishan Rafiq, Uzma Bukhari, Samiullah Khan, Mia Abdur Rauf, Malik Wahid, Sabah Sadiq, Rabia Nusrat, Rabia Naseem Faruqi, Rahila Naeem, Zaybun Nisa Awan, Kamal Parvez, Gulnaz Shahzadi, Nafisa Amin, Rana Afzal, Ali Bakhsh Chatta, also Sadia Nadeem, Rahat Afza and Sumbul Malik were included. Now, PMLN had challenged suspension of its 18 Punjab Assembly members in the Lahore High Court last month, saying that the Assembly Speaker had unconstitutionally and illegally suspended the MPAs, adding that such action is violation of rules and that the members were being subjected to political victimization.
Special Assistant to the Prime Minister, Hafiz Abdul Kareem, has called on Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in Islamabad. The overall political situation in the country was discussed during the meeting. The Senator Professor Sajid Mir also attended the meeting. Member Provincial Assembly of Balochistan, Yar Mohammad Rind, held a meeting with Prime Minister Muhammad Shehbaz Sharif as well. Minister for Finance Ishaq Dar, Minister for Economic Affairs Sir Ayaz Sadiq and Senator Kamran Murtaza were also present during the meeting. Minister for Housing Maulana Abdul Wasi met with the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in Islamabad as well. The overall political situation in the country was discussed during the meeting. Member National Assembly Chaudhry Muhammad Hamid Hamid met with the Prime Minister Muhammad Shehbaz Sharif as well. The overall political situation in the country was discussed during the meeting. National Assembly member Muhammad Afzal Kokar also called on Prime Minister Muhammad Shehbaz Sharif. Minister for Finance Ishaq Dar and Minister for Economic Affairs Sayyidar Ayaz Sadiq were also present during the meeting. Member National Assembly Sheikh Ruhail Asghar held a meeting with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif as well. The overall political situation was discussed during the meeting.
Now, the chairperson, National Disaster Management Authority, Lieutenant General Inam Haider Malik, called on the Prime Minister Muhammad Shehbaz Sharif in Islamabad. Now, during the meeting, he briefed the Prime Minister about the ongoing efforts for the rehabilitation in the flood-affected areas.
Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari said we want long-term partnership with the United States as 90% of our talks with the United States is focused on economic opportunities. The Foreign Minister expressed these views in an interview with MSNBC TV. Referring to climate change, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari said we need to be prepared for the next climate catastrophe.
Extremely happy to report in the 8th month that I have been Foreign Minister of Pakistan, we've engaged in consistent, both sides actually, bilateral exchanges, high-level visits and delegations. That in the past, say that 90% of our conversation used to be around the war on terror and terrorism. And now, if you look at our readouts or our sort of engagements, I'd say 90% of our conversations are about economic opportunities, about the various other areas where we can cooperate in, including terrorism. So I think that's a positive sign for U.S.-Pakistan relations. We can't change what happened in the past, but we can learn from the past, engage with each other with realistic expectations. I believe that we can build a sustainable long-term partnership that's in the interest of both our countries and both our peoples.
The Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari says that Pakistani American community is playing an important role in supporting Pakistan and the national development. In a tweet, he said that he met the leaders of Pakistani American community in Washington and the nation is proud of their success. He said that the vibrant diaspora is an asset for a strong Pakistan-US relation.
The United States has offered unconditional support to Pakistan in its battle against the TTP and similar groups, saying that defeating terrorism was a shared goal of both the countries. U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price made these remarks at a news briefing hours after Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari reached Washington for talks with U.S. officials. Price also offered to assist India and Pakistan in resolving their differences, reminding them that they were key global partners and that America would like to continue valuable partnerships with both the countries.
Now, President Dr. Arif Alvi has emphasized the need to set up an integrated, effective and standardized national-level mental health helpline to provide mental health services and counseling at the grassroots level. Now, chairing a follow-up meeting on mental health in Islamabad, the President said a coordinated, sound and singular approach at the federal and provincial levels should be adopted to address the issues of mental health and well-being in Pakistan. He called for enlisting the mental health institutions, teaching hospitals and other mental health facilities as well, besides creating a database of mental health providers, which should be integrated into the helpline for providing efficient and effective referrals to the patients. Now, the President said that avenues in the public and private sectors should be explored to meet the financial need of Rs 45 million for the establishment and launching of the first ever national mental health helpline.
Newly appointed envoys of Canada, Austria, Syria, Serbia and the Slovak Republic presented their credentials to President Dr. Arif Alvi in Islamabad. Later, they separately called on the President. Talking to the Ambassador of Canada, the President encouraged the Canadian businessmen to explore vast economic and investment opportunities available in the country. Terming resolution of Reko Diq project a positive development, he expressed the hope it would encourage further Canadian investment in Pakistan. Welcoming the Austrian ambassador, the president said that Pakistan attaches high importance to its relations with Austria in the context of European Union. Talking to the Syrian ambassador to Pakistan, the president appreciated the friendly gesture by the Syrian government to open group visas for Pakistani Zyrene and commended the decision taken by the airlines of both the countries to operate direct flights between Karachi and Damascus.
Now, the finance minister Ishaq Dar has said that the United Arab Emirates is one of the major economic partners of Pakistan. Now, talking to a delegation of Etisalat International in Islamabad, the finance minister said that Pakistan attaches great value to the brotherly relations with the United Arab Emirates. He highlighted the prospects of foreign investment in Pakistan, especially in IT and telecom sector, which is growing rapidly, and said that the government is providing conducive environment and facilitation to the attraction of foreign investment. Now, both sides agreed to proceed ahead for resolution of all outstanding issues between Etisalat and Privatization Commission in a spirit of goodwill.
Minister for Law and Justice Azam Nazir Tarar has said that the Convention of OIC states would further strengthen cooperation among law enforcement authorities of OIC member states to address the menace of corruption. The minister was participating in the first ministerial meeting of anti-corruption law enforcement agencies of the OIC member states in Jeddah to adopt Makkah al-Mukarrama's Convention on Anti-Corruption Law Enforcement Cooperation, said a press release received here. Being chair of the Council of Foreign Ministers, Pakistan has played a leading role in finalization of the convention. While delivering Pakistan's statement, Azam Nazir Tarar appreciated the leadership of Saudi Arabia for the excellent initiative of Makkah al-Mukarrama Convention of Member States of OIC on Anti-Corruption Law Enforcement Cooperation. He highlighted that the convention would further strengthen cooperation among law enforcement authorities of OIC member states and help in the identification of problems and sharing of the best practices to address the menace of corruption. Senator Tarar underscored that corruption was a multifaceted problem with incalculable social, economic and political repercussions. He urged member states to deny financial safe havens to criminals and take initiatives to remove all barriers in the recovery and repatriation of stolen assets to countries of origin. He hoped that the convention would pave the way for improving collaboration among OIC member states and facilitate, in return, proceeds of crime.
National Institute of Maritime Affairs has arranged a two-day International Maritime Symposium 2022 at Bahria University. Chief guest was Federal Minister for Planning and Development, Ehsan Iqbal. More in the following report by our special correspondent, Raza Khan.
Pakistan has come a long way since its independence in 1947, but it must make faster progress to catch up with other countries who have developed earlier, and for this fast implementation of CPEC projects and development of coastal cities like Gwadar is very crucial. This was stated by Federal Minister for Planning and Development Ehsan Iqbal, who was the chief guest during the Day 1 of International Maritime Symposium 2022 arranged by National Institute of Maritime Affairs at Bahria University, Islamabad. Earlier, DG NEMA Rear Admiral Retired Ahmed Saeed welcomed the guests and introduced the theme of this year's International Maritime Symposium.
I am very much pleased and I am confident in saying that whatever objective we had set forth for this international symposium have been met. Primarily, the NEMA has been working on to promote the national interests, maritime interests of Pakistan. And with that, we also hold these kind of international symposiums to collaborate and to do the exchange of thoughts with a lot of experts from inland and abroad.
Highlight of the event was the active participation of three former naval chiefs of Pakistan, Admiral Retired Asif Sandela, Admiral Retired Muhammad Zakaullah, and Admiral Retired Muhammad Afzal Tahir.
This institute was started, it was my brainchild back in I think 2006 or whatever, and it was named as National Center for Maritime Policy Research and NCMPR. I am sure that NEMA, which has been renamed, that is doing the the job in a very able fashion. I would really like to see the NEMA go into research on critical, subjects concerning maritime sector of Pakistan.
During multiple sessions throughout the day, eminent participants from the fields of maritime security, foreign policy, academia, and intelligentsia spoke on various aspects of the main theme of International Maritime Symposium. This year's theme is Geo-economic Dimensions of Indian Ocean Region, Opportunities for Region and Beyond.
National Institute of Maritime Affairs spearheads this maritime initiative, taking and seeking necessary help from the parent ministry, that is Ministry of Maritime Affairs, and particularly Pakistan Navy Naval Headquarters.
NEMA is continuously working on these symposiums and the objective of this is, and I think it is achieving its objective, that is to create an awareness and get rid of this sea blindness, because if you see the Pakistani community, including the academia, we have a sea blindness, and with this kind of a process, definitely we are able to understand the sea.
Foreign experts also participated in the symposium.
When this symposium, this meeting of international scholars and Pakistani scholars and decision makers about the connectivity, I visited Pakistan many times. And for me, it's always pleasure to come here to meet old friends and to have new friends. This would be the basis for better relations between Russia and Pakistan, all-weather relations between Russia and Pakistan.
It was an honor for me to participate to this valuable symposium organized by NEMA. NEMA has got a very important institution here, and it takes very important role, especially in this very dangerous transition period. So we believe that the interactions and cooperations between the countries, of course, require the peace, bring the peace to all regions.
Students of various universities attended the event.
In today's symposium, pollution from the maritime affairs and then all the pollution of the coast that have been raised in this symposium. So if the students want to do the proposals or projects in this sector, we need to study in this sector furthermore. There were a lot of facts and figures we were not aware about. So today I'm going to share it with my fellows in my university.
An audience comprised of people from various walks of life attended the informative sessions of NEMA's International Maritime Symposium throughout the day. National Institute of Maritime Affairs has managed to bring together the luminaries from the field of foreign policy, security, academia, and beyond. And the purpose is very simple. This International Maritime Symposium is hell-bent on one thing and one thing alone, and that is not only removing the sea blindness from various areas of Pakistan, but also raising awareness about the importance of Indian Ocean region, and that is the key for the future, not only of Pakistan, but all the states in this region. This is Raza Khan, reporting for PTV World. Pakistan.
PMLN senior leader Talal Chaudhry has said that the PTI chief Imran Khan could not escape accountability in corruption cases by making different excuses. Now, addressing a news conference in Islamabad, he said how long Imran Khan can hide behind the stay orders. Eventually, he will have to answer his corruption in Toshakhana, foreign funding, and other cases. Talal Chaudhry said Imran Khan should show courage and face the corruption cases, as it was him whose entire politics revolve around the narrative of accountability. He said it was the leadership of PMLN which had the guts to face the courts in the false and fabricated cases. Lashing out at Imran Khan for criticizing the state institutions, he said that the PTI chief started accusing others whenever he was asked to explain his position in the corruption cases.
Oil and Gas Development Corporation Limited has discovered reserves of oil and gas in Sangar, Sindh, which will help mitigate the gaps in demand and supply in Pakistan and will add to hydrocarbon reserves base of the country. The initial test showed that the reserves can bring out 2,000 barrels of oil per day and 1.3 million standard cubic feet per day of gas, opening new avenues to contribute to oil and gas demand in the country. The World Bank's Board of Executive Directors has approved $1.692 billion in financing for 5 projects to support people living in flood-affected areas of Sindh. Three support projects include rehabilitation, housing reconstruction and the restoration of crop production for vulnerable communities. Other two projects will support health services for mothers and children. The World Bank Country Director for Pakistan, Naji Ben Haseen, said Sindh was the worst province affected by the 2022 floods. He said World Bank engagement in the flood response effort is an opportunity to strengthen resilience and reform institutions and governance structures. The $500 million Sindh Flood Emergency Rehabilitation Project will help rehabilitate damaged infrastructure and strengthen government capacity to respond to disasters. Another $500 million Sindh Floods Emergency Housing Reconstruction Project will support owner-driven and multi-hazard resilient reconstruction of the core housing units. $200 million worth the Sindh Integrated Health and Population Project will help reconstruction of the health infrastructure. The $200 million Sindh Water and Agriculture Transformation Projects will increase agricultural water productivity in the flood-affected areas.
The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has urged the IMF, World Bank and the international community to support Pakistan to deal with vast devastation left behind by the unprecedented floods. He said this during a year-end press conference at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Responding to a question about expectations from Geneva conference scheduled to be held on the 9th of the next month, aimed at mobilizing support for the flood-hit country for reconstruction work, the United Nations Secretary-General said that Pakistan needs strong support as 3 times area of the country was underwater. Now the Secretary-General will co-host the Geneva conference with the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Antonio Guterres said that he is in contact with the IMF and the World Bank and hopes that these institutions will take meaningful action to support Pakistan. He said Pakistani people deserve and need a strong expression of international solidarity as the floods affected 33 million people and killed over 1,700. Now, of course, it has been almost 5 months since the massive rains along with the apocalyptic floods struck in Pakistan, inundating a third of the South Asian country. And thousands of victims are still loaded in tents, shelter camps, or along the highways across the southern Sindh and the Balochistan provinces.
5 months since massive rains along with apocalyptic floods struck Pakistan, inundating a third of the South Asian country, and thousands of victims are still lodged in tents, shelter camps, or along highways across southern Sindh and Balochistan provinces. Treacherous winter may kill thousands more in Pakistan's flood-hit areas, since thousands of displaced people still lodging in tents are suffering from cold-related diseases. Minister for Climate Change Senator Sherry Rahman apprised that 20 million people affected by recent catastrophic floods are currently dependent on humanitarian aid. The flash appeals by the UN have received only 30% of $816 million pledged by the international community. The catastrophic floods caused loss and damage worth $30 billion. Rehabilitation and disaster reconstruction needs are at least $16.3 billion, and this amount does not include investments required to support Pakistan's adaptation to climate change and overall resilience of the country to future climate shocks. The global lender World Bank has approved $1.692 billion in financing for 5 projects in the flood-hit provinces of Sindh. Leading COP27's agenda was a historic moment for Pakistan as it urged the developing countries to mobilize on the issue of climate justice and highlighted the urgency to tackle climate-related issues, but international community has to take meaningful actions to assist Pakistan in rehabilitation and climate-smart reconstruction.
Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred 3 Kashmiri youth in Shopania district of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The youth were martyred after they were arrested by the troops and later killed in a fake encounter in a garb of a cordon and search operation in Manj Marg area of the district.
The 3 people died when a blast ripped through a gas pipeline in central Russia that brings gas from Russia's Arctic through Ukraine to Europe. The Regional Emergencies Ministry said that the pipeline had blown up during the planned maintenance. The pipeline, built in the 1980s, entered Ukraine via the Sudzua metering point, continuing and currently the main route for Russian gas to reach Europe. Now, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on the interim government of Afghanistan not to allow terrorist organizations to use Afghanistan's soil for carrying out attacks in Pakistan or any other neighboring country. Now, addressing a press conference, he said that the United Nations is holding talks with the de facto authorities in this regard. He said, "We believe that the Taliban must deliver from the point of view of the interests of the international community, as well as the interests of Afghanistan in itself."
Twitter users have voted in favor of Elon Musk stepping down as the platform's chief executive after a billionaire ran a poll on his future. A total of 57.5% voted yes after Musk had asked his 122 million followers whether he should stand down or not. The technology tycoon, who also runs Tesla and SpaceX, has faced much criticism since taking over the social media platform. Musk has yet to comment since the poll closed. Even if he were to resign as chief executive, he would remain as Twitter's owner. More than 17.5 million users voted in his poll, with 42.5% voting no to Mr. Musk stepping down. In Iraq, at least 8 civilians were killed and 7 injured in attacks by the Islamic State in Diyala province. A local official said the militants attacked a civilian car near Khalis town and then opened fire on villagers gathered there. The mayor said a group of terrorists on motorbikes attacked the village of Albu Bali from 3 sides. It came a day after its militants killed 9 federal police in an ambush in Kirkuk province further north.
The rescuers have recovered the bodies of 6 crew members from a Thai warship that sank off the country's southeast coast. The dead sailors and 1 survivor were found on Tuesday as military teams scoured the waters in the Gulf of Thailand. Now, the search is continuing for 23 sailors who are still missing. The Navy says 76 crew members have been rescued in total. Now, the HTM Sukhothai went down on the Sunday night with 105 crew on board after losing power in a storm. Now, the Thai Navy and Air Force have spent 2 days searching for survivors, with hundreds of officers on 4 Navy ships, as well as several helicopters and unmanned drones deployed to scan a 50 square kilometer area of the ocean. The Taj Mahal in Agra, which draws millions of tourists to India each year, has been served notices for property tax and water bills for the first time in its 370-year history. Now, according to the Indian media, officials of the Archaeological Survey of India call it a mistake that they hope will be remedied soon. Now, the NDTV says both the Taj Mahal and the Agra Fort have been served notices for outstanding bills by various units of the Yogi Adityanath-led Uttar Pradesh government. The Archaeological Survey of India has been asked to pay more than 10 million rupees in dues. Now, 3 notices have been received so far, 2 for the Taj Mahal and 1 for the Agra Fort. Adityanath, the close aide of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, since becoming the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, seeks to deny the Taj Mahal its place on the global map by claiming that monument could not be India's icon. Statements on the Taj Mahal had irked the local population, eliciting the angry remarks from the tourism industry as well.
Former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd has been appointed Australia's next ambassador to the United States. Rudd had previously served as Australia's Prime Minister twice from 2007 to 2010, as well as briefly in 2013, after which he announced that he would stand down as the National Labour Party leader. He resigned from the Australian Parliament soon after the 2013 elections. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called Rudd one of the world's most sought-after experts on China and said he would bring significant experience to the role at a time when the region was being reshaped by strategic competition. Medicine companies in China are giving priority to the supply of COVID-19 oral drugs as cases have kept surging across the country since the relaxation of COVID-19 restrictions earlier this month. The state-owned China National Pharmaceutical Group Corporation, Sinopharm, has been increasing the supply of cold medicines, fever reducers and rapid antigen test kits in its national distribution network given the current spike in demand. On 7th of December, China announced a new set of measures to balance their epidemic prevention and control with socio-economic development, ranging from allowing home quarantine for mild and asymptomatic cases to reducing COVID-19 tests and make it easier for people to travel and enter public venues.
The UK nurses staged a second one-day strike amid an increasingly acrimonious fight with the government for better wages and warnings that patient safety could be jeopardized. Up to 100,000 members of the Royal College of Nursing in England, Wales and Northern Ireland walked out for the first time in the union's 106-year history last Thursday. They want an above-inflation pay increase to make up for years of real-term salary cuts, but the government insists it cannot afford anything above a roughly 4 to 5% rise. The American Space Agency's Mars rover Perseverance will this week begin dropping samples of rock onto the surface of the red planet. Now, the materials have been packed in small titanium tubes with the expectation they can be picked up by a future mission and brought back home. It's a major milestone in the quest to find out whether there is life on Mars or not. Now, Perseverance will place 10 cylinders on the ground at its exploration site in Jezero crater. They contain a mix of volcanic and sedimentary rocks that the robot has drilled over the past 15 months. Now, the joint project is a venture of the European Space Agency. The plan was discussed at last week's American Geophysical Union fall meeting.
Now, a powerful 6.4 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Northern California, triggering small rock slides and cutting power to thousands, but there were no immediate reports of major damage or casualties. The relatively shallow 6.4 magnitude quake hit 25 miles southwest of the port city of Eureka. In a preliminary assessment, the USG said there was a low likelihood of casualties. The National Tsunami Warning Center said a tsunami was not expected. Power supplies were hit with nearly 60,000 customers without electricity in Humboldt County. Around a dozen small aftershocks were reported in the area as well. The earthquake was about 10 miles deep. Now, heavy snow brought travel chaos to Japan's northern prefecture of Niigata, causing the cancellation of trains and traffic jams up to 20 kilometers long. Japanese media reported travelers faced challenging conditions in Niigata city as the wintry weather shut down train lines for several hours and left roads and pavements slippery. Long queues formed at bus terminals as people sought alternate means of transport, while outside the city, motorists faced long queues on national highways in the prefecture. Some parts of the country have experienced record snowfall in the recent days.
Now, a group of 89 Indian Hindu pilgrims arrived in Lahore through the Wagah border to participate in the Shivratri celebrations at the Katas Raj Temple in Chakwal. Now, welcoming them, Additional Secretary of the Evacuee Trust Property Board, Rana Shahid, said that the adherents of different religions are living with religious freedom in Pakistan. Speaking on the occasion, the Hindu Yatris appealed Pakistan High Commission to issue visas to as many Hindu Yatris as possible. The International Human Solidarity Day is being observed today. Aim to observe the day is to remind the governments of all the states of their responsibilities under international agreements, to raise public awareness of the importance of solidarity, and to encourage new initiatives for poverty eradication. And the purpose of solidarity is to ensure there is mutual care and concern for justice. Solidarity is best known when one respects the other and understands the other's needs in life circumstances. On to the national front now, where District Administration Layya has called for making Nambardar system in Layya more effective. Commissioner DG Khan Liaquat Ali Chatta, while addressing the convention in Layya, called upon the government to initiate the recruitment process on vacant positions of Nambardar in Layya, moreover highlighting the key role of the Nambardar system in society. Commissioner DG Khan committed that the Nambardar will play a key role in confirmation and attestation of the documents related to Patwar and Girdavari systems in the rural areas. Moreover, the Deputy Commissioner Farhat Hossain Farooq said that the Nambardar would be authorized to resolve the local issues and identify the grey areas. Now, District Resident Chaudhry Abdul Rauf Gujjar said that the Nambardar system is a vital component of the civilized society. Explaining the inevitability of the Nambardar system, Chaudhry Abdul Rauf Gujjar said that the Nambardars are eye and ears of the district administration. Other speakers expressed hope that by this system, the problems of common man will also be solved. The convention was attended by ADCR Ashfaq Hussain Seal, AC Asad Ali Budh, President Division Zafar Iqbal Gujjar, President Tehsil Abdullah Hannan, and Saeed Asghar Gujjar, along with Senior Vice President Jobara Arshad Goman, and Advocate Akhtar Hussain Kaka Zainul Abidin. Now, at conclusion of the ceremony, Commissioner Layya Liaquat Ali Chatta also distributed the cards amongst the office bearers of Lambardars. Now, Paris is glittering with Christmas lights and decorations as the holiday season is in full swing. During the festive period, the French capital dazzles the residents and tourists with festive illuminations on its famed avenues and shop windows. This year, the 400 trees of the iconic Champs-Élysées Avenue is decked out in gold lights. Large fairy wheel with the thousands of twinkling lights sits in the Tuileries of the gardens and Tuileries Gardens on one end of the Champs-Élysées. Now, tourists and Parisians alike are strolling down the alleys of the Christmas market at the area. In total, more than 150 streets and 70 neighborhoods will be illuminated with low-energy LEDs.
Well, on to the world of business now. After witnessing marginal improvement in the opening hours of the trading, Pakistan's rupee ended the session losing 0.08% against the US dollar in the interbank market. As per the State Bank of Pakistan, the rupee closed at 225.12 after a decline of 0.18 rupee. The rupee has depreciated by 21.6% against the US dollar during the ongoing calendar year. On Monday, the rupee ended unchanged against the US dollar to settle at 224.94 in the interbank market. Also, the investors of Pakistan Stock Exchange witnessed a bloodbath. Now, indices kept shedding gains all day long while volumes surged from the last close. Gaining 66.32 points, the benchmark KSE 100 index recorded intraday high of 41,037.14 shortly after it plunged to the day's low of 39,533.03. The index settled lower by 1,138.37 points at 39,832.45. Now, the KMI 30 index lost 2,066.93 points, settling at 66,501.90, while the KSE All-Share Index went down by 640.98 points, closing at 26,924.87. Now, overall market volumes appreciated from 142.30 million shares in the previous session to 263.08 million shares. On to the weather update now. Cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country, while very cold in northern areas and North Balochistan during the next 24 hours. According to Met Office, dense foggy conditions are likely to prevail over plain areas of Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Upper Sindh. Met Office said continental air is prevailing over most parts of the country. Well, that's it for the moment from my side. Back to the main desk now.
Well, with that, we come to the end of the bulletin. For more details and live streaming, you can always log on to our website, world.ptv.com.pk. You can find our Facebook page at the name of PTV World, and you can follow our Twitter handle at WorldPTV. From my side, Rafa Iqbal, my co-anchors Tayyiba Nisar Khan and Ali Ahmed, and the entire news team of PTV World, it's goodbye for now.
Setkenai nekken China, kagnai Afghanistan, sakin Dimiana bezerin ki di kusar. Safke da sınav sor. Derin probatay. فكنت شوق انت مالك وز مونالي وشعر زمان لازم تتكليف ناس يمكن ترتاح ولا نيجي شعر بريك لكوي وز بيرك هيك كوي ناس دي توي مشيت كنت أتم هيك هو بصورة هاب صورة نظام كنت هالدا ترو صورة ما تشيز هن سكجرا تان هالدا بس وخبزين بتاك مرنس نشمني أنا ترى أم صوت بير خنيش بدو نستيت كوزمير ساجني هي خس بدو شايف أنا كوش كبير خالص كوزمير صار عشان بدو فيلان يكوش كديك هذا توم سرير كياك ساعر كان فيلان يعني كل سوتيس بدو ريك نكايا فيتا تبتدي دراوم وش خشم غختم ناو ويزم زم ديك زم يانا هاول بارش هيك صار وز هتشرم يبكشرم por exemplo, com virgens, nos nós.
Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to PTV World. With the news this hour, I'm Tayyaba Nasar Khan. Joint sitting of the Parliament expresses concern over the deteriorated law and order situation in KP and inaction of the provincial government. Defence Minister Khwaja Asad says that the Bannu jail incidents reflect the utter failure of the provincial government. Defence Minister Khwaja Asad says mopping up operation is underway in Bannu jail and surrounding areas as 2 army personnel embraced martyrdom in the operation. The federal government announces various steps under its National Energy Conservation Plan. The federal cabinet accords approval to the National Energy Conservation Plan and the policy of austerity measures. The former president, Asif Ali Zardari, and PMLQ president, Chaudhry Shujat Hussain, discusses no confidence motion and vote of confidence in the Punjab Assembly. Lahore High Court allows 18 PMLN members of Punjab Assembly to participate in the Assembly sessions. These members were suspended by Speaker of Punjab Assembly, Sabtain Khan, after accusing them of rioting on the Assembly floor. Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari says Pakistan wants long-term partnership with the United States, as 90% of our talks with the U.S. is focused on economic opportunities. He expresses these views in an interview with the MSNBC TV. President Dr. Arif Alvi emphasizes the need to set up an integrated, effective and standardized national-level mental health helpline to provide the mental health services and counseling at the grassroots levels. Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred 3 Kashmiri youth during a fake encounter in Chupaiya district of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. England clean sweeps the 3-match series after an 8-wicket win in Karachi Test and handed Pakistan their first ever whitewash on home ground.